Part 7. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 61. The Creation Pill of Heaven and Earth. Just by hearing the name, you know it is not ordinary. No one can have too much of this kind of elixir. Not to mention, after eating it, you may become a saint. You have to think carefully about the selection. Li Yun was a little worried. Although the value of the Heaven and Earth Creation Pill is valuable, not everyone dares to cut it off. He definitely can't go there by himself and has to find someone to do it. This person must first be strong enough. After all, there are 9 Holy Lord level figures in the Tiangang sect. Secondly, this person needs to have a certain background. If he doesn't have the background, he won't have the courage to give him information. It's easy to steal the elixir, but if he offends the Holy Land of Shaking Light, he will be in big trouble. One careless move could lead to death. Just when Li Yun was thinking, Bei Chenheng came to the door and said loudly, "Junior Bei Chenheng, please see my senior." Li Yun's eyes lit up. Then they dimmed again. Bei Chenheng seemed to be in vain. His strength was raised by the method of becoming a saint through luck, just like the flowers in the mirror and the moon in the water, leaving the Tianyin dynasty. Within the territory, he became an ordinary person and asked him to grab the elixir. Whether he could get there or not was a question. "Come in," Li Yun said. "Senior." Baikan. Hung walked in excitedly. As soon as he stepped into the lobby, he bowed and saluted. "Junior, thank you for your life-saving grace. Without Senior, I'm afraid my life will be in danger again." "Well." Li Yun's expression froze. "I don't understand what Bei Chenheng is doing." Opening the other party's system panel and taking a glance at it, Li Yun finally understood what happened. There was a Sage King in his feelings when he didn't know it. Wandering around in the sky above Dawang City. It's just a trivial matter, not worth mentioning. Li Yunfen waved his hand calmly and said, "You came just in time today. I have something to ask you. The strength of the Tianyin dynasty is not bad, to be honest. Li Yun plans to see if Baikan Heng has the guts to go to the Holy Land of Light and buy the news about the Heaven and Earth Creation Pill to the Tianyin dynasty. Presumably you won't refuse, right? After all, you can cultivate a saint. He is still a true saint. With the foundation of the Tianyin dynasty, it is probably not too difficult to find a few peak Holy Lord level beings. If the seniors have anything to do, just ask them. Even if the juniors risk their lives, they will definitely do it for the seniors." Baikan Heng said in a sonorous tone. "No need to risk your life." Li Yun smiled. He glanced at the system panel and knew that Bei Chenheng's words were completely from the bottom of his heart, which made him feel quite happy. This matter can be considered a good thing for your Tianyin dynasty. "Oh?" Bei Chenheng was moved in his heart and said curiously, "I dare to ask, Senior, what is it?" The words are not finished yet. Suddenly, boom sound, like a shocking storm coming, powerful pressure fell from the sky, and the entire desert city was shrouded in it. Countless houses were turned into ruins in an instant. The earth collapsed, rocks collapsed, and huge cracks appeared. Spreading in all directions, seemed to be disintegrating. Countless people fell in a pool of blood and wailed in pain. On the great desolate city, a Holy Lord level formation was raised, but it was still to no avail. The majestic, the holy power is pervasive, like Wang Yang, sweeping every corner. At this moment, a haze rose in everyone's heart, and they felt the call of death. This breath was heavy and oppressive, and it was not something ordinary people could resist. "Master Tianji, why don't you show up yet?" On the sky, a tall figure came forward, walking like a dragon and a tiger. He was wearing a battle suit all over his body. It was cold and shimmering with metallic luster. The armor was made of divine gold. It was a saint level one. In the Tianji Tower. Li Yun frowned. Although he couldn't feel any breath in the Tianji Tower, he could see through the door frame a scene of world destruction outside. Is this someone from the light-shaking Holy Land? It came so fast. While I was still preparing, the other party was already here. It's the great teleportation talisman. Baikan Hung's face darkened and he said in a cold voice. This is a kind of talisman seal, which is generally used for escape, because once this kind of talisman seal is used, the user will be immediately moved tens of millions of miles away. It would be best to escape from the killing array or escape from the pursuit. But I didn't expect that the Yaoguang Holy Land would be so entrenched that they would use the great teleportation talisman to rush on their way. Otherwise, with the distance from the Tianyin dynasty to the Yaoguang Holy Land, even if he is a saint, he has to fly for a while, so there is no way he can arrive so quickly. The seniors don't have to take action, just leave this person to the juniors. Baikan Hang said in a deep voice. Before, I had been thinking about how to show my presence in front of the seniors. I didn't expect the opportunity to come so soon. Baikan Heng's eyes turned cold and he strode out. The Holy Land of Shaking Light is somewhere else. He can't control how arrogant and domineering he is, but he really has to take care of the underpinnings of the Tianyin dynasty. It's not for the face of the Tianyin dynasty, but for the seniors in the Tianji Tower. Li Yun. I didn't seem to say I was going to take action. Even if I take action, I can't seem to beat him. The sky above Dawang City. Baikan Hung steps up to the sky. Lenkin Kaiu. You, Shaking Light Holy Land, have crossed the line. This place is within the territory of the Tianyin dynasty. It is not your turn to come here to run wild in the Holy Land. Baikan Hung spoke indifferently, walking on flat ground in the void, and came to the sky thousands of feet high. He stood opposite the man wearing armor in front of him. The holy power on his body was steaming steadily, soaring into the sky. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 62. Who are you? Lenkin Kai's eyes were cold and emotionless. God Emperor Tianyin, Baikan Hung. Baikan Hung said lightly. Oh. Lenkin Kai's expression remained unchanged and he said coldly, is that old guy Baikan Iong dead? If my guess is correct, you should be his son, right? You are just a junior, relying on the method of becoming a saint through luck and taking advantage of the opportunity to become a saint. How can you steal the position of the God Emperor? Is there no one left in the Tianyin dynasty? These words came out. Bei Chen Hung, who originally wanted to show his presence in front of his seniors, was completely angered. This was no longer a slap in the face, but a slap in the face of Tianyin dynasty and himself. I hit the ground and stepped on it countless times. Based on what you said today, even if the emperor kills you here today, it is reasonable. Baikan Hung's robes swelled, and his aura improved again, reaching the middle stage of a saint. A wisp of holy power oppressed the heaven and earth, making the void begin to distort. Pretending. Lenkin Kaiu smiled disdainfully. He glanced at Bei Chen Hung. Instead of continuing to pay attention, he put his mind on Dawang City. He spoke again. Master Tianji, do you still want me to invite you out? Said. Lenkin Kaiu strode towards the Tianji building. Below. Seeing Lenkin Kaiu's movements, Li Yun was happy with his eyebrows. Is there such a good thing? Does Lenkin Kaiu seem to be committing suicide? Wait until he enters Tianji Tower. If you want to flatten or round it, it depends on your own will. Are seniors something you can disturb? At this time, Bei Chen Hung shouted angrily, and stretched out his big hand. The chaotic energy in his palm was surging, as if it had turned into a small world, huge and heavy, and suppressed it towards Lenkin Kaiu. Li Yun. This moment. He didn't know whether Bei Chen Hung had eyesight or lacked it. Hearing the sound. Leng Qianqiu turned around and looked over, and immediately found Bai Qinheng, who was pressing over him. Court death. Leng Qianqiu's eyes were like lightning, and his hair was flying. He waved his fist in the air, making huge waves. He punched out his right fist and turned into a mountain, crushing the void and colliding with Bai Qinheng. Boom! A huge sound came from the sky. A circular aftermath visible to the naked eye spread in all directions. Wherever the aftermath passed, the mountains collapsed, the earth collapsed, and everything turned into powder. This is the border of the Tianyin dynasty, and I am my enemy. Today, the Tianyin dynasty is destined to change to another divine emperor. Leng Qianqiu was wild and uninhibited. His voice was like the roar of a divine drum in heaven. It caused collapse in all directions and the earth sank. He stood on the sky like a god and demon. His energy surged like a sea of gods, flooding the entire area. Heaven and earth. The method of becoming a saint through luck is really miraculous, but its shortcomings are also too great. Not only is this shortcoming known to everyone, but almost everyone at the top of the Holy Land knows it. Not to mention people like Leng Qianqiu. He relied on his own strength to become a saint. From the bottom of his heart, he looked down upon such people who used tricks to achieve sainthood. Arrogant. Bai Qinheng shouted loudly, and the imperial dragon energy rushed into the night, and the luck from all directions gathered. The aura on his body rose and rose, reaching the peak of a saint. This strength is enough to make countless people change their colors. But Leng Qianqiu, still not afraid. Because it was too short for Bai Qinheng to obtain the method of becoming a saint through luck. He did not have his own holy weapons, and he did not know much about how to fight between holy realms. It would be good if he could exert 80% of his strength. Such a person poses no threat to him. More importantly, Holy Lord Yaoguang knew that Master Tianji could kill the saint, but still let him come over because he knew that he had the invincible strength of the Holy Realm. He was just a Bai Qinheng, and yet he still let him come over. Can't stop him. Today I want to let you understand how big the gap is between you and a real saint. Clang. There was a soft roar in the sky. A bolt of blood lightning fell from the sky, drawing out a dazzling blood light. It fell into the hands of Leng Qianqiu, clanking. This was a top holy weapon, red as blood, coiled around a horned dragon, spitting out a bright red spear tip is breathtaking. Kill. Leng Qianqiu drank softly. It turned into a stream of light and pierced the sky. A vision appeared behind him, like a world sitting there. In the world, there were rivers of blood and mountains of bones. I don't know how many people died before it could turn into such a scene. Boom. The two people collided with each other again. This time. As soon as the two people collided, they entered a white-hot atmosphere. With every movement of their hands, the heaven and earth shattered, and the void was exploded. Outside the desert city, the two people forcefully punched out an area thousands of miles in radius. The desert. Time passed. Half a day passed. Leng Qianqiu had the upper hand. He looked extremely confident. Every move was open and closed. The spear in his hand was like a pillar of heaven. It shattered the sky. On the other hand, Bai Qinheng was in a state of embarrassment. When he fought against the saint for the first time, he suffered a big loss. This move will make you die. Leng Qianqiu said in a deep voice. Boom, with a loud noise, a bloody spear reached through the sky and the earth, dyeing the void with a layer of red halo, and everything in the world disappeared. Only one spear became the only one in all eternity. Boom. The spear hit, and the space was broken inch by inch, like a mirror, broken into countless petals. The pressure was suffocating, and even Bai Qinheng looked embarrassed. This move. He knew that it would be difficult for him to take it. Even if you take it, you will probably be seriously injured, and you will no longer be able to take action. At the critical moment. Clang. Clang. Two sword sounds resounded through the void. Two sword lights that shocked the world pierced the sky. They came last, like two Milky Ways, sweeping over from the other end of the sky. Boom. The spear shook violently. Lankinkai was thrown thousands of miles away. The spear in his hand was shaking, blood flowed from the tiger's mouth, and his breath was erratic. He barely managed to steady his body. He looked back at the void and squeezed hard through the gap between his teeth. Say 4 words. Delugo Sword Sect. Reading books on May Day will be great. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 63. Fellow deist Len, long time no see. A clear voice came from the sky. Two old men in white stood side by side in the void, wearing hunting robes. They were both dressed in the same way. They carried long swords on their backs, with fairy-like bones on their backs, and the sword intent lingered around them, showing off their sharp edges. Duan Wu. Duan Wu. Len. Kinkaio took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "You, the great Luo sword sect, also want to stop me?" "No." Duan Wu took a step forward, glanced at the Tianji Tower, and found that there was no movement in the Tianji Tower. He looked back and said with a smile, "We are saving you." If the existence of Tianji Tower is really what Ren Qingtu said, then the actions of the two of them just now can indeed be said to be to save Len Qinkaiu. "Help me." "Ah." Len Qinkaiu sneered. He didn't believe the statement at all. Just now, the two swordsmen saints combined their strength to strike a sword, which was extremely powerful. If he hadn't been strong, he would have died with that sword strike just now. It was a killing move. "Zhao, you have the nerve to say you are saving me? Good." Duan Wu's smile remained the same, and he nodded slightly. "This set of rhetoric is too false. Do you know that with that sword strike just now, the two of you have become enemies of the Holy Land of Light?" Len Qinkaiu's face was cold, and his whole body was filled with murderous intent. The Great Luo Sword Sect will not be an enemy of the Yaoguang Holy Land, but whoever is an enemy of the Tianji Tower will be the enemy of the entire Great Luo Sword Sect. Duan Wu said unceremoniously. Since the founding of the Great Luo Sword Sect, they have never been afraid of anyone. Even if their ancestor is currently dead, they, the younger generation, cannot lose the prestige of the Great Luo Sword Sect. Especially at this critical time. Once if you show your timidity, others will notice. Good. 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 Deluo Jianzone, what a spirit. Len. Qinkaiu laughed angrily, and said in a deep voice, "What happened today has been recorded by Yaoguang Holy Land, and I will settle the matter with you in the future." His eyes swept over the faces of the three people one by one, and finally stopped at the Tianji Tower below. Standing in front of him were three saints. The owner of the Tianji Tower below had also killed two false saints, and his strength at least started as a saint. In other words, there are at least 4 saints among the enemies he will face. Even if Len Qinkaiu is arrogant, he does not think that he can defeat 1 against 4. Not to mention, there are 2 of them. A sword cultivator. Len Qinkaiu said a harsh word, then quickly turned and left. He was seriously injured by the sword just now, and he had to find a place to heal his wounds first. Still ran away. Li Yun looked at the scene in the sky and shook his head with some disappointment. If Bei Chenheng hadn't stopped him just now, he might have pinned Len Qinkaiu to death now. Well. Li Yun sighed and murmured, "What is this?" "Senior." A shout came from behind. Bei Chenheng looked pale and walked in from outside, looking embarrassed. He originally planned to show off his skills in front of the seniors, but he miscalculated. Leng Kai was too fierce and almost sent him to death, if not for the intervention of the two saints of Deluo Sword Sect. I guess I have to ask my seniors for help. What he didn't know was, if the two saints of Deluo Sword Sect had not come, there is a 99% chance that he would have been beaten to ashes. Even if Li Yun wanted to save him, he would be powerless. Li Yun glanced at Bei Chen Hung, with a complex expression on his face, nodded and said, "Thank you for your hard work just now. Let's go upstairs to heal." "Yes." Bei Chen Heng's heart felt cold. Sure enough. Did his performance just now disappoint his senior? However, senior's willingness to stay with him to heal his injuries seems to mean that senior still recognizes him. Thinking of this, Bei Chen Hung felt slightly relieved again. Take a breath. After Bei Chen Hung went upstairs, two old men in white came hand in hand outside the Tianji building. When they stepped into the Tianji building, they saw Li Yun's figure, and they all cupped their hands and said, "Deluo Sword Sect Duan Wu, think about it, I've met the original poster. Two fellow Taoists, please take a seat." Li Yun glanced at the two of them and smiled. He glanced at their system panels and immediately understood the cause and effect. Duan Wu was still Ren Qingtu's master, while Duan Wu was Ren Qingtu's master. Uncle. No wonder. These two people will rush to help at critical moments. After the three people sat down, Lu Chensu heard that her master was coming, and hurriedly came out to see the ceremony. These two people were in the Deluo Sword Sect, but they were her personal masters. Ancestor. She is different from other ancestors, because she can be regarded as the direct descendant of Duan Wuli's lineage. After the ceremony, Lu Chensu served tea to the three of them and stood aside, very well behaved. Duan Wuli left no trace. He glanced at Lu Chensu and felt a little emotional in his heart. His incompetent apprentice seemed to have made a wonderful move. He actually left his apprentice in Tianji Tower. With this relationship, what will happen to the great Luo Sword Sect in the future? This Tianji poster cannot sit idly by. If it can facilitate a marriage, that would be great. The only thing that worries him is whether the age difference between the two is too big. Although this Tianji poster looks young, but with his ability to deduce heavenly secrets, who knows how many years he is an old monster. Maybe he is older than his two senior brothers combined. Cough. Li Yun coughed lightly, interrupting Duan Wu's train of thought. He couldn't let the old man think any more. His mind was a little jumpy, and he even thought of the name of his future disciple's great-grandson. Two fellow Taoists happened to arrive today, but the opportunity in the Beiduan Mountains has been dealt with. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 64. Thanks to the poster's guidance, the opportunity in the Beiduan Mountains has been almost solved. Duan Wu cupped his hands and said aloud. When it came to this matter, the two saints felt a little embarrassed. This time, in their opinion, Deluo Sword Sect really took advantage of them. 4 pieces the Holy Lord level weapon was replaced by a saint, and countless resources were added. This kind of good thing, even if you hold a lantern, you can't find a second copy. Although the process of snatching the opportunity is a bit tortuous, but in the end, they are still the best. The Luo Jian sect was superior in skill, overwhelming the 9 Nether Demon sect and the Scarlet Flame Holy Land, and took the opportunity of Bishui Cliff into their pocket. If not for this kindness, how could they have come from the Beiduan Mountains to help the Tianji building fight against fluctuating light? Holy place? Even so, it is just around the corner for Deluo Sword Sect to regain its glory. Li Yun said with a smile. This is a scene statement. The Deluo Sword Sect has lost a great saint, and it is a bit unrealistic to just want them to recover their strength. The host was joking. Duan Wula gave a wry smile and said again, our brothers and sisters are here today. One of the reasons is to express our gratitude to the poster for his kindness. Second, it is for the future of Delugo Sword Section. Before, Ren Qingtu once told the two of them that the master of Tianji Tower has the power to reach the sky. As long as he can pay the price, he can make a great sage appear again in the Delugo Sword Section. The authenticity of this matter is related to the life and death of the Delugo Sword Section. They couldn't help but come and make a trip. For the sake of the great Lugo Sword Sect, they didn't care even if they offended the shaking light holy land. Oh! Li Yun smiled at the corner of his mouth and said softly, the future of the Lugo Sword Section. He paused before speaking meaningfully. Since Headmaster Ren mentioned the Tianji Tower to the two fellow Taoists, he must have also mentioned the rules of the Tianji Tower, which is related to the future of the Lugo Sword Section. The value of this news. I'm afraid the two fellow Taoists can't afford the price. The opportunity of the great sage. It goes without saying how precious it is. It is the foundation of a holy land. The net worth of two saints may not be enough together. If the system does not deduct the secret points, it depends on their actions today and their expressions of attitude. I can just give them all away for free. It's a pity. Li Yun himself is also very poor at the moment. He is not rich enough to give away the opportunity of a great sage for free. What the poster meant is that there is indeed a way to help the Lugo Sword Sect restore its former glory. A glint flashed in Duan Wu's eyes, and he said while stroking his beard. As the saying goes, what you hear is false, and what you see is true. Before, they didn't believe it when they heard what Ren Qingtu told them. But today, they heard it with their own ears. After saying this, the two saints couldn't calm down anymore. It doesn't matter whether it's a price or not. The Lugo Sword Sect has accumulated for countless years, and they can still pay for some extraneous things. As long as there is indeed news here in Tianji Tower, that's enough. Not to mention restoring the Lugo Sword Sect to its former glory, it is not difficult to even take it to the next level. Li Yun glanced at Duan Wu and continued, it's normal for fellow Taoist Wu not to believe it. It was the same when Master Nephew came. Didn't he become a saint in the end? Just like fellow Taoist Wu, he has been trapped in the late stage of sainthood for hundreds of years, unable to take a step closer. If he can make up for his state of mind, he can reach the peak of sainthood. Based on fellow Taoist Wu's background, it won't be long before the Lugo Sword Sect will add a Saint King. Duan Wu's body trembled, and his eyes widened. He had never told outsiders about this news. Only he knew that he was mentally deficient. How did the Tianji poster find out? He knew that this poster it is unpredictable and can see through other people's cultivation, but it is a bit scary to be able to see through a person's hidden dangers. Does the poster know how to make up for his state of mind? Duan Wu asked tentatively. This is simple, 5 saint-level items, I will tell you. Li Yun stretched out his hand and said with a smile. He has a defective state of mind. This is not an inner demon, but his own thinking, which has entered a dead end. Once he understands it, naturally everything will no longer be a problem. If you can't understand, it's okay. At most, the strength remains unchanged. In Duan Wu's situation, it is obvious that the problem is not big, but the trouble is not small. After all, many people have spent a lifetime and never turned out of the dead end before they died. Duan Wu. The price is a bit high, to be honest. In the Delugo Sword Sect, he was famous for his Qingfen with 2 sleeves. Apart from his strength and a saint's weapon behind his back, he had nothing. Asking him to take out 5 saint-level items would be even harder than killing him. His junior brother, on the other hand, was wealthy and had been the headmaster of Delugo back then. But he was in a hurry a few days ago, so how could he bring so many good things with him? Can the poster keep this news for a while and allow us 2 brothers and sisters to go back to Delugo Sword Sect? Duan Wu said at the right time. Ken. Li Yun nodded. Then the two of us will take our leave today. The two stood up and hurriedly said goodbye. Looking at their backs, Li Yun's face was filled with smiles. Unexpectedly, he had misunderstood Ren King too. Not only did he help him attract business, he also took action. Just brought in a big client. His masters are here. Can someone with a higher status than his master be far away? I guess. It won't be long before the Saint King of Delugo Sword Sect can hardly sit still. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 65. What do you think, senior brother? High in the sky. After Duan Wulai was silent for a moment, he asked. What my nephew said is true. Duan Wu was still thinking about what happened just now. When he heard his junior brother's question, he opened his mouth and returned. The master of Tianji has a very hidden strength. With my eyesight, not to mention his cultivation level, I can't even notice the aura on his body. This method of collecting interest is unbelievable. If he is not an ordinary person, he must be an extraordinary master. Can an ordinary person deduce the secret of heaven? Obviously not. Since the owner of the building of Tianji is not an ordinary person, it is easy to guess. He is definitely an expert hermit, and his strength cannot be underestimated. Senior brother thinks so too, Duan Wulu breathed a sigh of relief. At first, he was a little uneasy about tying Delugo Sword Sect and Tianji Tower together. After all, he was the supreme elder of Delugo Sword Sect, and his words represented to a certain extent Delugo Jian Zone behind him. He was also very panicked when he faced the Yaoguang Holy Land for Tianji Tower. He just couldn't show it. Now, after hearing his senior brother's comments, he suddenly felt confident. This time, Duan Wu was silent for a moment, and then said again, I'm afraid the Shaking Light Holy Land is going to be in disaster. They underestimated the Tianji Tower too much. Although there is only one person in the Tianji Tower. But it's not like it has never happened before that one person could rival a holy place. What Yaoguang Holy Land did today. In Duan Wu's eyes, this is tantamount to self-destruction. After countless years of glory, when this holy lord came to power, the entire holy land of Shaking Light began to change, becoming ambitious and wanting to devour the world. If a great emperor can appear in the holy land of Shaking Light. When they do this, naturally no one has any objections. But the key point is that there is no Shaking Light Holy Land. It's just a quasi-emperor and he wants to conquer the holy land in the world. This is a bit too whimsical. Senior brother is right. Duan Wula pondered and said the Yaoguang Holy Land has not seen through the details of the Tianji Tower, so it hastened to take action. It is indeed not in line with the past style, and it is a bit too eager for quick success and instant benefits. Having said that, it may not be an opportunity for our Delugo Holy Land and Tianji Tower to be tied together. The Shaking Light Holy Land is now responding to the call. If they target Tianji Tower, many forces must target Tianji Tower, including but not limited to small sects such as Tiangang Sect. At this critical moment, Delugo Sword Sect stood up and supported Tianji Tower building. In this way, didn't the Great Lugo Sword Sect leave a good impression in the mind of the owner of Tianji? If we can exchange for some important information, the Great Lugo Sword Sect will soar into the sky just around the corner. Well, if the value of the news can be cheaper, that would be great. Duan Wulai suddenly felt a toothache when he thought that a person with a weak state of mind would need 5 saint-level items. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. If the Great Lugo Sword Sect wants the opportunity of a great sage, how much will it cost? Junior brother, don't forget that the Tianyan dynasty is already one step ahead of us. Duan Wu said in a faint voice. Everyone can see the value of the Tianji Tower. The Holy Land of Shaking Light, which is countless thousands of miles away, has discovered it. How can the Tianyin dynasty, which is so close at hand, sit idly by and ignore it? Even the God Emperor Tianyin personally took action to help the Tianji Tower. This shows the attitude of the Tianyin dynasty. Just in case. The owner of the Tianyin Tower first pointed out the Tianyin dynasty, so that the overall strength of the Tianyin dynasty was greatly increased. If things go wrong, there will be another one. A force no less powerful than the Yaoguang Holy Land is about to rise. Fortunately, the Yaoguang Holy Land is far away from the emperor, but the Tianyin dynasty is not far from the Great Luo Sword sect. Moreover, it rises when the Great Luo Sword sect is at its weakest, and no one knows what the future is like. Will the Yin dynasty have any thoughts about Deluoji Unzone? In the final analysis, it is still a force like the dynasty, which is too ambitious. In their eyes, the territory is the most important. If it is not curbed, a Tianyin dynasty, plus Tianji the poster pointed out that it is possible to unify a large state. At that time, the method of luck and sanctification will be added. That kind of situation, just thinking about it, makes me feel sour. When King Tu comes out of seclusion, let him represent the Luo Sword sect and move around more with Tianji Tower. Duan Wuliu thought for a moment and said again, the most urgent task is to let the Luo Sword sect regain its strength first. Duan Wuliu nodded. Just as he was about to say something, his expression changed, he turned around and shouted coldly. Who? A demonic person. Duan Wuliu also noticed the strange phenomenon. He followed his gaze and saw only a black figure, running away like crazy, bursting out at the highest speed in his life. Even though he is a demon cultivator, this speed is even the swordsman was shocked. Don't worry about the Holy Lord level aura, it's just a junior. Duan Wuliu said calmly. Hearing this, Duan Wuliu put his palm down from the hilt of his sword. Without his junior brother's words, he would have slashed out with one sword. With his strength, even if the opponent fled to the horizon, he would still be able to block it. Can't hold back this sword. It's interesting that people from the Nine Nether Demon sect would actually come here. As soon as Duan Wuliu finished speaking, his expression suddenly became strange. They thought of the Beiduan Mountains. The two looked at each other and immediately understood what the other was thinking. Shouldn't it? The people of Juyu Demon sect should also embrace Tianjilu's thigh. Think of this. The two of them silently mourned for the shaking light holy land in their hearts. On the surface, Tianji Tower is just a force supported by one person, but behind Tianji Tower, there are already several holy places standing at this moment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 66. So close. Yang Qiu's figure appeared. Even though he ran hundreds of thousands of miles in one breath, he still had lingering fears. Just now, just 100 miles away, he ran into two saints from the Great Luo Sword section. Fortunately, they were not thinking about it. Otherwise, it is unknown whether he can run away. He is only at the Holy Lord level and is considered a high-level person in the Juyu Demon sect, but against a saint, not to mention a swordsman, he is just an ordinary saint. He can easily kill him. Not to mention that he is a saint of the Luo Sword section. In terms of background, he is not weaker than him, and in terms of strength, he is stronger than him. He really killed him with one sword. I guess Juyu Demon sect can't do anything. Who can let himself die? Good. Didn't you come after me? Yang Qiu hid in the void and looked in the direction he came from. His consciousness swept out and he didn't notice anything unusual. He breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I didn't come after him. Yang Qiu touched the storage ring on his finger without leaving a trace. It contains all his wealth, as well as some magic weapons and elixirs he borrowed. Its value exceeds that of many saint-level figures. Even if he is a leader. Currently, he is not as rich as him. If he dies and the contents of the ring fall into the hands of others, he will cry to death. This is not far from Dawang City. Yang Qiu turned around and flew towards Dawang City quickly, thinking in his heart those two saints from the Luo Sword sect may also have gone to Tianji Tower. Could it be that you bought the opportunity that belonged to me? Thinking of this, Yang Qiu shuddered. Opportunities for becoming a saint are so precious, and each one is priceless. Master Tianji can give out 1 or 2, is it possible that he can also give out 17 or 8? In Yang Qiu's eyes, the opportunity in the hands of the owner of Tianji will definitely not be too many. If you sell 1, you will lose 1. If you sell a few more people, how can you have anything to do with yourself? Yang Qiu was in a hurry, and his speed became faster and faster. It turned into a rainbow, crossing the sky. In less than half a stick of incense, Dawang City is already in sight. Seeing the scene near Dawang City, Yang Qiu frowned. He noticed that there was a strong true energy aura here. It seemed that there had been a big battle before, and the person who took action was probably above the saint level. Has anyone taken action against Tianji Tower? Yang Qiu's eyes froze. After seeing that the Tianji building below was safe and sound, he regained his composure. It was just as he expected. Who is the owner of the Tianji building? How could he hurt the senior building owner when he was just a saint? He fell from the void and walked into Tianji Tower, shouted. Senior, Yang Qiu greets you. Yang Qiu is here. Master Tianji. Li Yun looked happy. He really came to whatever he wanted. Just now, he was still planning who would be better to intercept the heaven and earth creation pill of Huyeoguang Holy Land. How long has it been? I will give it to the right person. Here we come. Behind Yang Qiu is the 9 Nether Demon section. In terms of prestige, it is not weaker than that of the Shaking Light Holy Land. In terms of strength, it may be almost the same, but it is not much different. More importantly, the two are one good and one evil, and they are naturally incompatible. Isn't it reasonable to deal with the people of Juyu Demon Sect and snatch things from Yeoguang Holy Land? In other words, if the strength is not good enough, even if the strength is enough, even if Juyu Demon Sect destroys Yeoguang Holy Land, it is estimated that no one in this world will surprised. Come in. Li Yun said. Senior, Yang collected the treasures and dared to ask Senior, what is the chance of becoming a saint, is it still there? Yang Qiu asked eagerly as soon as he stepped into the Tianji Tower. On the way here, he met 2 saints from the Luo Sword sect, which made him feel very uneasy. Although the 2 saints were strong, they did not reach the level where they were about to break through the Saint King. Since they cannot break through the Saint King in a short period of time, they are probably here for the sake of the sect's descendants. What if they come to trade the opportunity to become a saint? Don't panic. Li Yun waved his hand, signaling Yang Qiu to be calm and calm. Well. Yang Qiu's face turned black. How can you not panic? This is something that affects him for the rest of his life, so I won't talk about it once. Seeing that he is about to become a saint, in the end, Ren Qingtu plucks the peach. This time in Buletin Sheng, he estimated that the inner demon he had just eliminated would reappear. Thinking about becoming a saint all day long, he was almost crazy. Don't worry, no one will pick your peaches this time. Li Yun comforted him. With the words of Senior, Yang felt relieved. Yang Kaiukian smiled. He knew that the master of Tianji could see through a person's thoughts, so 903 was not embarrassed at all about his thoughts being seen through. In this case, if you have anything to say, it's hard to say it in person, so just think in your heart. Just think about it. The only thing you have to worry about is that you can't slander in your mind. This time, Li will not take advantage of you. He only needs 3 holy master level items, because this lack of opportunity may not make you a saint, but only improves your chance of becoming a saint. Li Yun said. He has already finished investigating the Tiangang sect's news. He spent 10,000 TNG points. He sold it to Yang Qiu for only 20,000 points and recovered the blood himself. This mouthful of blood only gives back 10,000 TNG points. Not much. If it weren't for the heaven and earth creation pill that couldn't guarantee a person's 100% sainthood, he would definitely be able to double the sales. 3 item. Hearing this, Yang Qiu was not happy, but felt heavy. He said aloud, "Senior, you should sell it more expensively. I don't know how to sell it at such a cheap price. The lesson learned last time was too big. This time." When Yang Qiu heard that the price was so cheap, his intuition told him that something must be wrong. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 67. Think about it for a moment. Yang Qiu's body was shaken. A scary thought came to mind. Could it be? The news that I want to buy is already unknown. When he thought that there might have been countless people who had entered the opportunity before him, his heart suddenly became cold. The more people there were, the greater the variables would be. God knows, whose hands the opportunity will fall in the end. Don't worry, this is first-hand news. Li Yun said lightly. Yang Qiu nodded, suddenly trembled all over, and said in disbelief, "Senior, is it true?" "Of course I won't lie to you." Li Yun smiled and said, "But this opportunity may be dangerous. You must be mentally prepared." "So this is a..." When Yang Qiu heard this, he felt relieved. Just now, he was still wondering why it was so cheap. It turned out to be dangerous. To be honest, there are a few people who have embarked on the path of cultivation in the world of cultivation. Afraid of danger? Know it, a brave and diligent heart, it is impossible to cultivate to the Holy Lord level. At their level, everyone understands the principle of finding wealth and wealth in danger. Danger and other things are all childish. Moreover, wasn't there danger in the last opportunity? 2 saint-level killing arrays, how dangerous this is. In the end, isn't it just like strolling in the back garden? Where is the opportunity that Senior mentioned? Yang Qiu asked excitedly. Tiangang sect. Li Yun spit out 3 words. Tiangang sect, Tiangang sect. When Yang Qiu heard these 3 words, he looked suspicious and asked uncertainly, "What did the Senior just say, Gang's own film?" But the Tiangang sect affiliated with Shaking Light Holy Land. He has heard of this sect. It is not strong, but its reputation is not small. With the help of the Shaking Light Holy Land, it dares to provoke even some holy places. Of course, among these holy places, the demonic sect is definitely not included, because everyone it is a hostile relationship. If they provoke the demonic sect, these people will not tolerate them. They will not give the Yaoguang Holy Land respect at all, and it will be destroyed if it is destroyed. According to Yang Qiu's knowledge, there seem to be only 2 people in the Tiangang section a saint, and these 2 saints seem to, 3 questions. Because these 2. I was once challenged by the Holy Lord Taishu. That's right. It was enough to be challenged by the Holy Lord Taishu, who was still at the Holy Lord level at the time. The key was to beat the 2 of them so hard that his grandma almost didn't recognize them. This incident has become a joke in the entire cultivation world. How could a dignified saint be challenged by a higher level? In the final analysis, it is because these 2 people are not real saints, and their strength is too different. If they did not have the Shaking Light Holy Land behind them, they would have disappeared back then. For such a sect, the seniors told him that he could become a saint. To be honest, Yang Qiu didn't believe it. If they could become saints, the two saints of Tiangang sect would not have been hammered. It is the Tiangang Zongji affiliated to the Shaking Light Holy Land. Li Yun said with a smile. Could it be that Senior is lying to me? Yang Qiu said softly. At least he believed the names of other holy places. But Tiangang sect? I'm sorry. I really can't believe it. Lin Ming, sent by the Holy Master of Shaking Light, gave the Tiangang sect a creation pill of heaven and earth. With your strength, you must have heard the name of this pill. I don't need to tell you how much it is worth. Li Yun said here, enough is enough. Heaven and earth creation pill, Yang Qiu lost his voice and said. That is a pill unique to the Holy Land of Shaking Light. It is almost no longer circulated to the outside world. Occasionally, if one leaks out, the price is sky high, and he cannot afford it at all. Good. A jade slip appeared in Li Yun's hand, and he said calmly, here is the way to break the Tiangang sect's mountain protection formation. Whether you go or not depends on your personal choice. Can seniors even get the method to crack a sect's mountain protecting formation? Yang Qiu looked at the jade slip in front of him. For the first time, he did not reach out to pick it up. Instead, he fell into deep thought. With his first experience, he knew that this was true. As long as he got the jade slip, he could do it quietly. Mixed into the Tiangang sect. Senior, if I remember correctly, although the Tiangang sect is not strong, its mountain protecting formation is also a holy level formation, right? Yang Qiu asked. A crazy idea came to his mind. Is indeed a saint. Li Yun nodded. It is definitely not possible to protect a holy land with a holy formation, but it is more than enough to protect a small sect. When he heard Li Yun's reply, Yang Qiu's eyes lit up. The same was true for the previous chance of being a saint. Senior, in an instant, he took out the method to break the formation. The current Tiangang sect is still like this, a sect's mountain protecting formation. In the eyes of the seniors, it is like air. Since the holy level formation is nothing in the eyes of the seniors, what about the mountain protecting formation in the Holy Land? After this idea appeared in Yang Qiu's mind, he couldn't control himself. Even the idea of becoming a saint was temporarily left behind. A fierce light flashed in his eyes. Senior, I would like to ask, do you have a way to crack the mountain protecting formation of the Shaking Light Holy Land? Today's, Qianyuo's, world. The reason why there will be no war between the major forces. The first point is that each family has its own powerful formation. Taking the Holy Land of Shaking Light as an example, their mountain protecting formation, it is an emperor-level formation. With this formation, the Holy Land of Shaking Light will be impregnable. Even if it is temporarily destroyed, no one can break through the mountain protecting formation. But if it is, their method of breaking the formation will fall into other holy places in the hands. It would be great fun. Without Xian, the biggest means of protection, the entire Holy Land is as if it is undefended. It is placed in front of countless forces. There is a possibility of being destroyed every day. Even if the quasi-emperor is in charge, it is of little use. One sect cannot destroy the Holy Land of Shaking Light. If multiple sects join forces, they suddenly land in their section. Who can stop it? Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 68. Li Yun's eyes widened. He didn't see it. This Yang Qiu has a big heart. Now, he is not even a saint, so he is thinking about Yaoguang Holy Land. Although Li Yun himself is also very unhappy when he sees Yaoguang Holy Land. After all, they have all sent people to arrest themselves, but one thing is undeniable, that is, the Holy Land of Shaking Light is really powerful. There is a quasi-emperor. There are imperial soldiers. There are emperor scriptures. With this configuration, unless the real emperor takes action, Even if a general Holy Land swarms up, it will only be delivering food. As for the 9 Nether Demon sect, to be honest with Yeoguang Holy Land, Li Yun is not very optimistic about the 9 Nether Demon sect. Are you, the 9 Nether Demon sect, going to take action against the Shaking Light Holy Land? Li Yun said. The elders are just asking out of curiosity. Yang Qiu laughed to cover up his inner feelings. Li still said the same thing, as long as you can afford the price, you can find out anything from the Tianji Tower. Do you understand? Li said anything. Li Yun emphasized again. Understood. Yang Qiu nodded. Now, he can confirm. The senior really has the method to break the formation of the Holy Land Mountain Guard. Senior. 527. Yang Qiu wiped the storage ring in his hand. He asked softly, I want to buy one more piece of news. Oh? Li Yun became interested and asked, what's the news? The whereabouts of the quasi-emperor of the Shaking Light Holy Land. Yang Qiu's words are sonorous. This time, he brought a lot of good things with him. He originally planned to buy out an opportunity and not let anyone in, but what he didn't expect was 3 Holy Lord level items are enough. The remaining things should be kept, it is better to consume them directly in Tianji Tower. He definitely couldn't afford the method to crack the mountain guarding formation of the Shaking Light Holy Land, but he could try to find out the whereabouts of a quasi-emperor. After all, it was just a whereabouts. Anyway, the news in Tianjilu is 100% guaranteed to be trustworthy and will never deceive consumers. The whereabouts of the quasi-emperor. Li Yun narrowed his eyes. He glanced at Yang Qiu's personal template and immediately understood what he was thinking. This person is serious. He is not joking. At this moment, Yang Qiu's true nature was exposed. A man of the devil's way, he was very cold-blooded, and for the sake of profit, they would do anything. Since he wanted to find an opportunity to have a fight with the Holy Land of Light, Li Yun didn't mind raising his hand. Anyway, he was in a loss. And Yang Qiu, just in trying to figure out whether to take action or not, he is a Holy Lord level figure, and it doesn't count at all. It's nothing more than a trivial matter. Li Yun said something and asked in his mind system, how many secret points are needed to inquire about the whereabouts of the quasi-emperor in the Holy Land of Shaking Light? Ding, checking the whereabouts of the quasi-emperor requires 10,000 secret points? 10,000. Li Yun pursed his lips. The quasi-emperor is worthy of being a quasi-emperor. Just checking the whereabouts of one person is so expensive. If we check all the information, we won't be able to find out at all without hundreds of thousands of secret points. Inquire. Li Yun said in his heart. Ding, query successful. Name, Ling Xiao. Current whereabouts, in the Chaotic Sea area, we are looking for the opportunity to become emperor. Ling Xiao. This should be the name of the quasi-emperor in the Holy Land of Shaking Light. Li Yun thought in his heart. What he didn't expect was that Ling Xiao was actually not in the Holy Land of Shaking Light, but in some chaotic star sea area. Wasn't this a chance? The quasi-emperor used the imperial soldiers and the great sage. There is a big difference in the power of imperial weapons used by high-level people. During this period, if the 9 Nether Demon sect attacks the Shaking Light Holy Land, it will probably be enough for them to drink a pot. Even if they are not destroyed, at least their vitality will be severely damaged. The whereabouts of the quasi-emperor plus the chance of becoming a saint, there are a total of 6 Holy Lord level items. Li Yun withdrew his gaze and said softly. So cheap. Yang Qiu smiled happily. He originally thought that he would suffer a lot of bleeding this time, but it turned out that the cost was much less than he imagined, and he could even buy information about the whereabouts of the quasi-emperor. I hope that the quasi-emperor is not in the Holy Land of Shaking Light now. Yang Qiu thought in his mind. With a wave of his hand, 3 Holy Lord level weapons and 3 Holy Lord level elixirs floated in the void. You guessed right. Li Yun waved his hand and put away the Holy Lord level items in front of him, and said Ling Xiao is currently in the Sea of Chaos Stars, looking for a chance to become an emperor. Chaotic Sea Area. Yang Qiu was overjoyed. This place is known as a forbidden area. It is also called an ominous place. Even if the emperor goes in, he may be seriously injured, and if the quasi-emperor goes in, it can be said that if he risks his life, if he is not careful, he may not be able to get out for the rest of his life. Here it comes. More importantly, the Chaos Star Sea is far away from the Yaoguang Holy Land. Even the powerful quasi-emperors will not be able to come back for a while. If the Yaoguang Holy Land is besieged, even if the Yaoguang Holy Land is under siege, the news has spread. It is estimated that by the time the quasi-emperor comes back, the daylilies will be cold. This is a great opportunity. Yang Qiu's eyes were a little brighter and his heartbeat was a little faster. At present, the only thing missing is the way to break the formation. This needs to be carefully considered. With his current wealth, he can never afford this news. Seeing Yang Qiu's soul flying into the sky, Li Yun coughed slightly, interrupting his sweet dream, threw a jade slip in his hand, and said, "The heaven and earth creation pill is about to be delivered to the Tiangang section. The leader of the Tiangang sect will become a saint in 13 days. You don't have much time yet." Yang Qiu came to his senses and quickly caught the jade slip. He said, "I almost forgot about the business. Time is running out, I'll take my leave first." Yang Qiu stood up, glanced at the jade slip, said something, and hurried towards the Tiangang sect. Judging from Yang Qiu's performance, the Nine Nether Demon sect does not seem to be as weak as I thought. Looking at Yang Qiu's back, Li Yun murmured. A force with little strength would not dare to have a bad idea about the Yaoguang Holy Land. For example, the Deluo Holy Land. It's a pity. Yang Qiu didn't tell him, and he was too embarrassed to ask, otherwise the character design collapsed. He opened the system and searched for the Nine Nether Demon sect. It showed that the price of the search was 1 million. The moment he saw the price, Li Yun felt a toothache. He sighed and put the 6 a Holy Lord level item was exchanged for TNG points. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 69. Tiangang Zone, in front of the mountain gate. 2 disciples, one tall and one short, stand side by side. Senior brother. The shorter disciple looked wary and nervous, and said solemnly, "Do you think the master can become a saint this time?" "How could I know?" The tall disciple rolled his eyes and said calmly, "But the magic elixir sent by the Holy Land of Shaking Light should be able to make the master a saint. If the leader does not become a saint, our Tiangang Zonk will be doomed." 2 saint-level ancestors died on the same day. This matter is nothing in the whole world, but it caused an uproar within the Tiangang sect. If it hadn't been for the Yaoguang Holy Land to send a heaven and earth fortune pill, I'm afraid people are panicking now. After all, without the presence of the saint, the status of Tiangang sect in the hearts of Yaoguang Holy Land has been greatly reduced. If Yaoguang Holy Land doesn't protect them, God knows what fate Tiangang sect will fall into after so many years. Tiangang sect acts arrogantly and often provokes enemies. If those people know that their sect has no protective umbrella, they will definitely swarm them. With the holy level formation, they cannot stop everyone. Back when he was in charge, he was still a genius, so if he wanted to become a saint, it would be no problem. The key is that someone might come to cause trouble in the past few days. The tall disciple frowned and said in a deep voice, "Probably not." The short disciple glanced around nervously. But he didn't find anything unusual. He swallowed and said, "Isn't the Yaoguang Holy Land quite concerned about the Tiangang sect now?" You know shit. The tall disciple sneered and said indifferently, if the headmaster doesn't become a saint, and the holy land of shaking light wastes a divine elixir, and they don't cause trouble to the Tiangang sect, then even if it's good, we still expect them to protect us. Go ahead and dream. Well. The short disciple's expression froze. He didn't expect that this world of cultivation would be so cruel, and that he would fall out of favor faster than turning over a book. When the two of them were talking to each other, a wisp of black mist, swinging out from the distant mountain forest, when passing in front of the two people, the temperature of the void dropped significantly by several points, as if a black figure was walking past the two people. But the two of them didn't notice it at all. The black mist submerged into the formation, and Yang Qiu's figure emerged. He looked back at the two disciples, with a smile on his lips. He heard every word of the conversation between the two of them just now. Last time, it was Ren Qingtu who stole the opportunity from me. This time, I have to do it again. Yang Qiu's palms flashed with light, and the jade slip appeared in his hands. He glanced at the contents inside, and directly he swaggered towards the Tiangang sect. Along the way, it was calm and did not disturb anyone. Senior is worthy of being a senior. Even though this is not the first time. Yang Qiu still couldn't help but sigh. He had never thought that sneaking into a sect could be so simple. The mountain protecting formation placed in front of the mountain gate was like a fake. Generally. The same is true if you enter the shaking light holy land. Yang Qiu's eyes were burning. Just think about it. He seemed to have seen the confused scene of Holy Lord Yao Guang. When I return to the Nine Nether Demon sect, I have to find an opportunity to pay homage to my ancestor and tell him about the Tianji Tower. Right now, let's talk about sanctification first. Yang Qiu calmed down and clenched the jade slip in his hand. He speeded up a bit. He didn't want to repeat what happened last time. What if he sneaked into the Tiangang sect and the leader of the Tiangang sect became a saint? It would be great fun. It is not an exaggeration to say that he threw himself into death. After entering the Tiangang sect, his figure disappeared again and turned into a breeze, quickly drifting towards the central headmaster's hall. The headmaster's hall. The leader of the Tiangang sect is a middle-aged man. He wears a robe, his hair is meticulously combed, and his face is solemn, as if he is on a pilgrimage. Break through the Holy Lord realm and step into the Holy Realm. It is a big step towards immortality, and there is no room for sloppiness in this process. He only has this one chance. If you lose this opportunity, you may not be able to become a saint in your lifetime. So, he attaches great importance to this opportunity. First, bathe and change clothes, then worship the ancestors, and finally burn incense and pray. After completing this set of procedures, he came to a secret room, and after adjusting his entire state to its peak, a spiritual elixir appeared in his hand. The moment the elixir appeared, a scent of fresh fragrance filled the air. This elixir is crystal clear, flowing with 7 colors of brilliance, and intertwined with the texture of the avenue. Just looking at it makes people's realm begin to loosen. If the two masters are alive in heaven, please bless their disciples to become saints. After the disciples become saints, they will definitely conquer the heavenly mystery tower and avenge the two masters. The headmaster of Tiangang sect said in a deep voice. I don't know whether your master will bless you, but I'm afraid you won't be able to become a saint. As for conquering the heavenly mystery tower, let's leave it to the next life. Just when the leader of the Tiangang sect took a deep breath and wanted to swallow the pill, a joking voice sounded from the secret room. Who? Tiangang sect headmaster Warren stood up and shouted coldly. I'm Yang Qiu. A black figure flashed past and reappeared. He was already standing in the corner. His palms were spread out. A round pill was lying there. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 70. The headmaster of the Tiangang sect felt his palm lighten, as if something was missing. He looked at the elixir in the opponent's palm, and then looked at his own empty palm. Suddenly, he became furious. Be bold. The leader of the Tiangang sect, his beard and hair stand on end, his eyes are filled with anger, like a volcano erupting. His raging anger burns down the sky, and his powerful momentum surges out like a tidal wave. This is Tiangang sect, how did you get in? The leader of the Tiangang sect said with a serious tone. Didn't you just say it? Yang Qiu put away the elixir and said slowly. Sky, machine, building. The Tiangang sect's 960 headmaster's face was livid, and he squeezed out 3 words fiercely. His angry murderous intention was almost no longer concealed, and he wanted to tear the people in front of him into pieces. The fall of the 2 masters. They learned about the Tianji building for the first time. The more they learned about it, the more they understood the weirdness of the Tianji building. It seemed that the owner of the Tianji building could deduce the secrets of the heavens. It would not be difficult for a person who could deduce the secrets of the heavens to help Yang Qiu behind the scenes. Speculate why he appeared here today. It is very possible. The news that he will break through the Holy Realm today was deduced by the owner of Tianji. If you want to conquer the Tianji Tower, let alone your Tiangang sect, not even the shaking light Holy Land can do this. Yang Qiu joked. Is it? The leader of the Tiangang sect experienced the anger just now. He slowly calmed down. He glanced at Yang Qiu indifferently and continued, this is the Tiangang sect, protected by the holy formation. If you think you can get in, then can I go out? And the heaven and earth creation pill in your hand is a pill given by the holy land of shaking light. It may be easy for you to snatch it away, but then you will have to face the endless pursuit of the holy land of shaking light. This place is hundreds of millions of miles away from the 9 nether demon sect and spans across a state. With your holy lord level cultivation, there is no way you can escape back. If you hand over the elixir now, I can treat it as if it happened today and never happened. Who said I was going to run away? Yang Qiu looked strange. He waved his palm. Black symbols bloomed from the void, filling the entire secret room. Yune's extremely suppressed aura filled the air. Formation. This is what Yang just said, it's under Chubu. If this formation is not broken, anything that happens in the secret room cannot be spread outside. Yang Qiu said with a smile. He himself had thought about what the leader of the Tiangang sect said just now. When he came quickly with a big teleportation talisman, but when he left, he didn't have the big teleportation talisman. It is true that I cannot escape the pursuit of shaking light holy land with my holy lord level cultivation. But what if I don't escape? As the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place. Just like what Ren Qingtu did before, who would have thought that he would directly Tiangang sect breaks through the cultivation level? Unless in this world, a second Tianji building master appears. But this possibility is very low. Almost non-existent. After he became a saint, his strength increased dozens of times. At that time, when he wanted to leave, it was more calm down, he just wants to leave, and it is difficult for the shaking light holy land to keep him. And after becoming a saint, his value is much higher than that of the Holy Lord. The 9 nether demon sect will definitely send people to rescue him. It is almost certain that as long as if you don't commit suicide, you won't die after becoming a saint. Yang Qiu, you are looking for death. The headmaster of the Tiangang sect was angry again. The other party was obviously carefully prepared. Not only did he set up a formation, but he didn't even plan to escape. If a demonic person becomes a saint in the Tiangang section when this news spreads, it is certain that the reputation of their Tiangang sect is completely ruined. A demonic person has touched his own lair, and he and others didn't notice it, but he still allowed people to become saints easily. This is a huge shame. In the future, the words Tiangang sect will be reduced to cultivation, the laughing stock of the world. Come to death. The headmaster of the Tiangang sect shouted angrily, and his body turned into a stream of light. The light was endless and the power was invincible. It filled the secret room and moved forward to suppress him. With this blow, he did not seek to kill Yang Qiu, but just to break the formation. So that the things in the secret room can be conveyed to others, so that other elders of the sect can be alert. Little trick. Yang Qiu smiled slightly and tapped his finger. The formation buzzed softly, and thousands of symbols lit up, causing huge waves. A heavy force fell from the sky. It pressed on the head of the Tiangang sect. In the palm of the Tiangang sect, in the eyes of the teacher's disbelief, he stood in front of Yang Qiu and stopped. No matter how much he activated his true energy, he could not take a step forward. With a plop, the pressure suddenly increased and he fell from the sky to the ground. Noodle. The Nine Nether Demon sect is proficient in formations. How come you want to make an enemy of me? Yang Qiu said lightly. Facing the enemy head-on, it may not be easy for two people to decide the winner, but it would be embarrassing if they let themselves set up the formation in advance. 3.5 Ren King 2, who has not become a saint, is here. He also dared to give it a try. If your life was not of any use, you would have been wiped out just now. Yang Qiu raised his hand and tapped it again. A ray of true energy rushed out and entered the body of the leader of the Tiangang sect, sealing all his cultivation and 5 senses, leaving him alive. The leader of the Tiangang sect cannot die now. He dies. The divine soul jade tablet outside will inevitably be shattered. The moment the jade tablet is shattered, it is estimated that the elders of the Tiangang sect will notice it, and his situation will not be good at that time. Although the Tiangang sect is weak, the Holy Lord level figure is still. He can take out as many statues as he can, and under the siege of many people, he probably won't need to take action from the Holy Land of Light. He will have to drink his hatred.